Mara and Tanis, welcome to the Visionary Life podcast. I'm so excited to be able to sit down virtually and chat with you today. I first met you at our mutual friend, Erin Andrews. She had a launch party for Impact Zero, and ever since then, I've been following you on Instagram, and I knew you would both make amazing podcast guests because, to my knowledge, there's not too many shops that are similar to the Green Jar here in Toronto where we all live. So again, can't wait to chat with you. Thank you so much for being on the show and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
We're going to kick off with some rapid fire questions just to warm you up and to allow the listeners to get to know you a bit better. So first things first, Mara, where did you grow up?
Okay. Well, I grew up in just outside of Toronto in Stouffville, Ontario, on a horse farm. And during my formative years, playing in the dirt and picking vegetables from the ground.
That sounds amazing.
It was awesome.
Tanis, what about you?
Same here. We're twin sisters. So we had the good fortune of growing up on this lovely 50-acre horse farm and gathering our chicken eggs from the chicken coop and playing in the pine forest, and it was a lovely experience. And we were there for, I guess, about the first 6 or 7 years of our life.
Oh, that sounds so beautiful. Do you ever go back to that same farm?
Well, when we were teenagers, we went back every once in a while just to see if the house was still there. And our parents had built this lovely playhouse that we had in the front of the yard, and unfortunately maybe about 20 years ago it became a townhouse complex, so the land was sold. The land was sold, so there isn't any existence of a pine tree or a farm or anything. It's all concrete and driveways now.
Wow, that must be a bit surreal to think about that.
It was very strange that the landscape had changed and it was unrecognizable. So it was a little bit sad to see it go.
Absolutely. What was each of your first jobs, like the earliest job that you can remember as a kid or as a teenager?
I would say, well, this is Mara speaking. I remember working as a landscaper. It was a pilot project through the city of Toronto to hire like 12, 13, and 14-year-olds and see how they did in the first job. And the entire summer I planted gardenias and, pulled weeds and I just had the best time. And I got paid for it. I was about 13, 14.
Tanis, what about you?
Well, I guess the first memory of a job, or I should say it was kind of like a gig, we did a toothpaste commercial and we were about 5. I forgot about that. Yeah. Somebody spotted us and said, oh, you'd be great for an Ultra Bright toothpaste commercial. So we, I think we did 1 or 2 of them, and then our mother got the check and we put it into the bank. That was when we opened our first bank account, and then we purchased a bike with the proceeds. So that was like, I felt very, important, like, oh, that was a really fun job. And then after that, the subsequent job, I think I was about 12. Actually, I was 12 because I remember that some parents thought I was too young, but I babysat. And that was a really amazing experience, caring for young babies. The most memorable was a newborn that I got to care for a few days at a time. The parents would go away on business trips and would, for some reason, allow me as a 12-year-old to care for their newborn child. But it was great. It was a great learning experience, and I felt very responsible and very mature. So it was quite lovely.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, babysitting is such a great job to teach responsibility to young kids. It's just like, okay, I can prove that my work ethic is good if I keep this child alive.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah, it was quite an accomplishment.
What is one daily routine or ritual that each of you have kind of adopted and practiced daily in order to be able to show up for your business in the way you want to?
Oh gosh. Yes. For me, it's stretching. I need stretch Yeah. So yoga in the morning before I leave the house is really, really important, and I find that I cannot do without it. So it's a necessity for me.
Mara, what about you?
Oh gosh. Well, that's a bit tricky. I have to say, I had a bad habit of not eating breakfast. So now I have a proper meal at the beginning of the day, good fuel, good energy just to get up and go and start my day. So that's definitely something I'm paying more attention. Take care of myself first so I can take care of my business.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's certainly tough to show up for a work day, to show up with customers when you haven't done at least one thing for yourself, and just kind of sit down, take that time to eat, take that time to stretch, and then go pour into whatever the day is about to bring you, right?
So true.
Now, I would love to know, obviously, you didn't start this business from the time you were like 15 years old. So what were you both up to in the years leading up to launching the Green Jar? What type of career path were you each on?
Well, for myself, Mara, I actually had always had a job in some way that was working with my hands and restoring things in some way. So I worked with a furniture restorer for a while, and then I got into masonry, stone masonry. So I restored historical buildings across the city, and I worked with a conservator from Montreal, and that was a lot of fun. I did that for about 15 years. And then when the arthritis hit, I moved on to something a little bit easier on the joint. But yeah, I'd always been working with my hands and working with community.
Neat. Neat. Tanis, what about you?
I was working as a massage therapist and a birth and postpartum doula. And I also taught prenatal classes and lactation education classes. So that was my career for almost 15 years. And it was great. I really loved it, and it was a great way to connect with people, and then also teach them how to feel better, through stretching and through remedial exercise and self-care.
Amazing. Now you're on these paths, your separate career paths. So at what moment does the conversation to get into business together to start an eco-friendly physical retail space, when does that come to be? So maybe you can take us back to like the first conversation that was had that sparked the idea.
I think it was actually when we were about 15 or 16, actually. We had already, lived an eco-friendly lifestyle with our family, and it was really important to us to maintain that when we became young adults. And we found it a little bit challenging to find places that would provide those sustainable essentials that we were so used to growing up, at home. And there were a couple of places in the city, and Mara and I had, thought, well, when we are ready and when we're grown up, we'll have a space very similar to the places that we frequented. So Karma Co-op was a really big place that, our parents shopped there quite regularly. Kensington Market, for example. So we were already really familiar with the bulk component and buying directly from farmers. And I would say, we were like 16 or so when we said, okay, when we have the opportunity, let's open a space similar to Karma Co-op, or Grassroots, for example, was another place that we really admired. Rob Greenfield's space. And he had a great business model. Or it wasn't?
No. Sorry, you can edit that out.
I thought it was Rob Greenfield. No,
he's
okay. There's Rob, someone. I can't remember his last name right now. Rob. We'll say Rob. We really admired Rob.
They both have similar last names.
Yes,
so,
I'll have to look for his last name, but he was the founder of Grassroots, and it was a place where you could learn and buy sustainable items in bulk, and it was one of our favorite places. And but I would say the pivoting moment was about 2 years ago. We were both really wanting to make it a serious change and a promise to ourselves to start this business. And so we sat down and started writing our business plan. And I would say that was like the pivoting moment was about 2 years ago.
So cool. Now, did you have experience with launching and writing business plans? Was anyone in your family an entrepreneur, or did you feel like coming into this kind of not sure what to do, but we'll figure it out?
Right. It was a combo. So our mother had a space in Yorkville when we were kids. Then this was the home that we had moved to when we left the farm. And so she had a retail store, and there we were, 5, 6 years old, helping out and working at the cash register and figuring out the math in our head and helping her with her day-to-day operations. So definitely I would attribute some of the skill from our mom. And later on in years we worked in retail, so that also gave us some really practical knowledge as to how to run a business from the back of the house to the front of the house. And then with the business plan, we didn't really have experience in that. Prior to opening the space, we did speak to someone and hire someone that was a professional business planner, and we felt like that was extremely important in order to have a really clear, concise, succinct plan that we could take to the bank. And we wanted people to take us seriously. This was something that we were really serious about, and we were putting our life savings into it.
You say you hired a professional, so tell us a bit more about that, because I think there are so many people who they really do want to start a business, but they have no prior knowledge. I'm not sure where to ask for help or where to invest in asking a mentor or an expert to lend a helping hand. So what was the decision process? How did you find this person, and what kind of value they bring to writing the plan?
Well, I had previously written a business plan on my own, and I thought it was pretty good, and I took it to a colleague of mine who was also a massage therapist, but prior to entering into massage therapy, she was a business planner. And she said, it looks great, but you're missing some major components with regards to, your daily cash flow, your demographics. So there were some key points that I had missed. And so she had recommended a person to speak to. And so she introduced us, and we went from there. But I do find that was extremely important to have a business planner, because they really think about every single detail of your business, from borrowing money to your demographics to
how many paper clips.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
How many paper clips?
It's true.
You're budgeting for every single thing, every element in your store, which is a daunting task, but it's extremely important, so you're fully prepared emotionally as well as financially.
Was there kind of one component of the business plan that you are so glad you got into the nitty-gritty of it? Like, just in case someone's listening that's like, I can bypass the marketing, or I can bypass the finances, or I can bypass this. What would be that part that you're like, spend time here?
Absolutely. It would be the finances. Definitely go through it with extreme detail. You want to make sure that you haven't left anything unturned, and you are, as a business person, you're bound to have surprises when it comes to unforeseen things like, construction delays, for example, extra cash flow in case you don't get the funding that you are expecting. extra cash flow for emergencies. So it was really a really good experience to go through all of that. Is as uncomfortable as it is to go through your finances with a fine-tooth comb, it's important. Another really important thing too is just having really good credit. That is a huge component, because basically they want to make sure that they can trust you with regards to lending you money. And Mara and I worked very, very hard over the years to ensure that we, paid our credit card bills in full and on time, and ensure that, we looked good on paper first before we obtained money, borrowed money, which we hate doing. But, when it comes to a small business, you do need to have some financial support. You don't want it to be 100% coming from your own bank account.
Those are such good tips. So you get through writing this business plan, then what were some of the other first steps that you took in order to bring the green jar to life?
I would have to say sitting down and making a list of all of our product, our favorite things, and then also what's out there on the market that, aligns with our values and what would fit best in our store. So we took our time with that, and we made a list, and we contacted all of our favorite suppliers, and even found some new favorites. And we, created a conversation with them, and it was over a span of several months that we talked back and forth and got wholesale lists, and they became familiar with us. And so I think that's what really helped, because we got to know our suppliers in and out.
That was extremely important. And then also finding the perfect space. Location for us was really important. We wanted to work close to home for a few reasons. We wanted to ensure that our carbon footprint was quite low. We wanted to make sure that we could walk to work. That was really important, that we could, have that really healthy boundary between home and work, but also that we could be very close by in case anything happened, and we're not having to do the hustle every day to get downtown via TTC, which, we happily did for many years, but we felt like if we had our wish list, let's ensure that we could stay within our community and grow in our community, which again was another really important element.
So obviously having community is so important to open a brick and mortar store, because you're serving the people within a radius around you, right? So I'm curious, did you have community built up before launching the shop? Or were you kind of starting from scratch thinking, well, we're going to have to start finding our first few customers? So where were you on that spectrum?
Good question. I've lived in this community. Well, actually, I guess it's the neighboring community about 10 blocks away, but I've lived there for almost 20 years.
Wow.
So, my kids went to the local school. A lot of the community members also have small businesses, on St. Clair West, for example. They're also my neighbors. So there's a strong sense of community in this neighborhood. To the point where, they have Facebook pages for each of the streets and each of the neighborhoods. And it's not uncommon for, a community member to say, oh, could somebody lend me a lawnmower for the weekend? And, 5 minutes later, you have a knock on your door and there's a lawnmower. So everybody supports each other and watches out for each other. So we knew that when we started this business, we'd have that support. And that was really important. We didn't want to open the doors and it be quiet and and also that nobody would know us. It was very important that we already had some familiar faces coming in to support us.
That's amazing. Love hearing there's strength in a community and neighbors supporting neighbors. It's something that I feel like we've kind of gotten away from over the last 10, 20 years, but more than ever, I think people are starting to reroute into the people that are around them, because this is where we live. This is where we spend a lot of our time. And it's so nice to have a neighbor that cares enough to pop over with the lawnmower or to support the local business. And it's nice that maybe through this global experience of COVID, we've kind of been able to plant more roots, which is pretty special.
Absolutely.
Now, I know you mentioned something about construction delays. Was there any challenges in the early stages of putting this business plan together, of opening the store? Anything that almost derailed you or that really threw you off track? Because it's always crap that comes at you when you're starting a business. So I'm wondering, what was it for you that was challenging?
I would definitely say that first, finding the exact and perfect location was a huge challenge. We anticipated that we would find something within 6 months and start, constructing our space right away. And that didn't happen. So I think it was over a year before we found a space in this neighborhood. So that was a challenge that we didn't expect. And then when we started with construction, it was, fairly smooth in the beginning. And then we did hit a few roadblocks. There were some surprises and,
waiting for permits,
waiting for, then there were some holidays and, then maybe a contractor might've been sick. And, so there's all these unforeseen delays that you don't have control over, which, in the moment can be extremely frustrating, but you just have to understand that's just how it is. So that surprised us, but we were able to overcome it. I think that was those were the two that were really set us back quite a few months.
Yeah. I'm sure worth it in the end to be patient, but definitely that's like a skill as an entrepreneur, to be patient and when those glitches or surprises come at you, to just stay cool, calm, collected, because what are you going to do? Try and rush the process and force things that really just aren't meant to happen. So it's challenging, but I think it's good for listeners to hear that there's always going to be roadblocks, no matter whether it's small, big. It's just the cost of doing business.
Right.
Exactly. I think another benefit actually from some of the roadblocks is that it actually gave us time on our side to prepare for things and to learn. And so even though we may have been set back, 2 weeks or 3 weeks over, maybe shelving, it gave us an opportunity to spend more time in other areas that needed our attention. So we did find that it was still a mixed blessing in a sense.
So kind of moving forward to the period where the shop is ready to be opened to the public. What were you doing to get the word out there? Obviously, marketing is a huge piece of writing the business plan and running a business. So I'm wondering, how did you spread the word? What were some of the things that you did to generate a little bit of interest so that your first week or first month would get some customers through the door?
Well, we work with a great marketing team. Is it GLE?
Yeah, Green Living Enterprises.
Cool.
And we're a fan of theirs. They put together the Green Living Show, and so we sussed them out and we contacted them, and they were lovely people and they were fantastic. They worked with us on a timeline as to when we could, create a little bit of a buzz and, put ourselves out there. And then we also set up social media accounts and, put that out there and put together content and try to engage our community in some interesting posts.
Amazing. And in terms of hiring the marketing team, was that a decision that you made because you both didn't feel super confident in your abilities or you were too busy? What was the decision process behind bringing in other people to support the launch of the business?
I think we wanted to make sure that we were generating some interest a few weeks prior to opening, and we felt like the most effective way to do it is to have a structured way of presenting ourselves. And we felt like if we did it on our own, we might have fumbled it, and we may not have reached the same number of people. And we really admired Green Living Enterprises. We, have attended their Green Living show over a number of years. So we knew that they already aligned with our values. They already supported a lot of businesses that were sustainable businesses. And so we felt like that they could get our word out there more effectively. And they did a great job. They helped us build our website, which was really exciting. They saw our vision, which was great. So it was pretty easy for them to create the copy and to create the interest on our behalf. It felt like they were really speaking through our voice, which was super important. And we did end up, again, because of the construction challenges, we ended up opening a few months later than we had anticipated. But again, it gave us a bit of time to put ourselves out there and to share ourselves with our community, and to start getting people to follow us on Instagram and on Facebook. And that, I think, really helped. So by the time we opened our doors, it was great. We had a lot of support and enthusiastic followers.
That's amazing. When you look at kind of what you do to promote your business today, what would you say are some of the most powerful or impactful marketing or promotional strategies that you still do most days that tend to bring a return on investment or tend to get people into the store? What works now?
Well, I would say post quite regularly on Instagram. That tends to be the most effective form of communication. And at times, it might feel like homework because it's not our forte, but just engaging with our community on a regular basis. And, initially we thought, oh, we'll post maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks, and found out that no, that's not the case. It's much more effective to have a daily voice and provide information, whether it's educational or sharing something personal. The community wants to hear from you almost every day. So we try to post every day if we can. And if it's not an actual post, then we'll share a story. And it just gives us a bit of a connection with our community.
Yeah, that's the hard thing about social, is that it does require that everyday attention, but it's also the amazing things that you get the opportunity to remind your community that, hey, we're still here, pop in on your run today, pop in as you're walking by with the kids. And it's that everyday touch point that it's a curse and a blessing all at the same time. We'll say that about social media.
That's right.
Now, just for clarity, when did you actually open the store?
We opened December 1st of 2019, so just at the end of last year. And we were open for just a little over 3 months before COVID hit. So we were just starting to gain some traction when we came to a grinding halt.
Did you write into your business plan that there might be a global pandemic?
No.
That's right. That was the one thing
I mentioned that once too.
Yes,
come on.
Exactly.
I
Oops,
mean,
we had to put that in there.
It would have been like strangely psychic if you had written that in there, because I don't think that was on anybody's mind. Like, I've written business plans before, and when I did the risk assessments, it never included global pandemic. It was not in my consciousness. How could I have possibly thought about it, right?
Exactly.
So obviously we can kind of giggle at it, but COVID had a massive impact on consumer spending patterns or shopping patterns. And I'm sure that there's been some sort of impact on your business, whether good, bad, or a combination of both. So I'm wondering what's been going on the last 4 months for you?
Well, we closed our doors in early March because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to rethink our business model. So we had a few meetings and decided that our website should also act as an e-commerce platform, which we hadn't anticipated on doing for at least a year after we opened. We really wanted to focus on engaging with our community through our brick and mortar. So we quickly put up an e-commerce site and took as many photos as we could. And then we also offered contactless pickup and delivery in the neighborhood. So that that helped immensely, just so we could at least continue providing bulk essentials to our community.
Mm-hmm.
And it helped, but definitely, as you say, it changed everyone's way of thinking and purchasing, and your priorities shift. But we knew that everybody still needs dish tablets and laundry soap, and we were determined, and deodorant and toothpaste, and we were determined to be able to still provide that to our community. So the e-commerce was a really important component, even though we had a few glitches.
Mm-hmm.
I think it really helped us stay afloat.
Mm-hmm.
And are you back open now, or is the shop still shut? Where are we at as of July 24th, 2020?
Yes. So I would say over the last 2 weeks, we slowly opened our doors to, initially we had the table up at the front of the door to allow people to walk up to the door and request, toothpaste and deodorant, and we would put it together on their behalf. And just this last week, we have opened our doors to allow 2 customers in at a time. And we have hand sanitizer at the front, and we put up plexiglass at our countertops, so now people can walk around with ease. And we have a UVC light, so we're sterilizing the bottles. And so we're allowing customers now to bring their bottles for refill, which was a really important component for us, because when we were closed and we were initially providing delivery, we were putting everything in new glass containers, and that didn't align with our values of supporting a circular economy. So that was upsetting to us, and we decided we would take bottles back and give customers a refund or a store credit towards purchasing something in our shop. But now, over the last week, we've been allowing customers to bring their containers again, and we feel like we're a refillery again, which is great. So it's nice to see faces back in our shop.
For somebody who's never been inside of an eco-friendly shop or a shop that supports a circular economy, can you just describe a little bit more about kind of what you do and what the mission is and what to expect when we walk into the green jar?
Well, you can expect that we have a wonderful wall full of liquid soaps and shampoos and lotions, and you can bring your own bottle or jar, whatever vessel you have, and you can fill it. And also, if you're a maker, we have a lot of base ingredients of powders, and you can make your own laundry powders, which is great, or you want to make a clay mask. And
all of our products are plant-based and contain no harmful chemicals. So we're offering an eco-friendly, sustainable option to toothpaste and to deodorant, and so you don't have to worry about putting any harmful chemicals on your body. So most of the, or actually all of the refillery items are Canadian made, which was another really important factor for us. And they are made really well. So a little goes a long way. So for example, our multi-purpose cleaner, you only need about a half a teaspoon to a 1 liter water bottle. And
wow,
then you can, so super concentrated. And the great thing is that a lot of these companies use concentrated ingredients in little water. And for example, our laundry soap, you only need a tablespoon for a large load of laundry. So we wanted people to see that they can purchase quality ingredients and they can see the savings buying in bulk, and that they're also buying safer ingredients. And it was also really important for us to provide access to our underserved members of our community. So we wanted to make sure that our cost for the refillery items are affordable, that that there's access to everybody when it comes to refillery products. And then the other half of our store has really amazing everyday essentials that are alternatives to single-use plastics. So we have vegan dental floss that's made out of corn fiber, and we carry, stainless steel straws and bamboo cutlery. So we're finding products that are really essential to our daily activities, but are compostable and biodegradable options.
So cool. So for someone listening who doesn't normally shop with you, but they're kind of, their curiosity is obviously piqued by this point, what would you say are the first 2 to 3 items that they would probably want to begin shifting over to?
I think an easy switch would be a bamboo toothbrush. You can, once your regular plastic toothbrush has reached the end of its life, you can easily switch it out to a bamboo toothbrush. And then that's compostable after you're done with that. Floss as well. That's another great switch out that anyone can make, since we use that, at least 3 times a day. Another great switch out would be your kitchen sponge. We have great alternatives for that. Great loofah sponge, as well as coconut fiber sponge. And those are some of the things I see a lot of people gravitating towards when they come into our store.
Agreed. Another one that I really love, and I see a lot of people switching out quite easily, is deodorant. And we have had a few skeptics, but the deodorant definitely that we carry is really effective, and you can buy it in bulk. So, you can buy a little sample that's maybe 5 or 7 days worth, and it doesn't have any plastic components to it. So, you just dip your finger into the jar and rub it onto your armpits like moisturizer. And we found that a lot of people are thinking about switching, the deodorants out. So this is another popular one, as well as toothpaste. Toothpaste tubes are another awful plastic item in our landfills. And we have the crush and brush toothpaste tabs, so you can chew on them and they become effervescent. And it's a really quick, easy switch. And it's something that you can take with you while you're camping or on a business trip, or, keep it at work in your office cubicle. And it's very straightforward switch. So we want to show people that it's easy, but it's not, and it's, it might be intimidating in the beginning to make out these switches, but if you just try one room at a time and you just try 1 or 2 items, it makes such a huge difference, even if it's just 1 or 2 items.
Another great switch out would be our shopping bags. We have a great cotton mesh shopping bags, produce bags. That's something that, everybody could use when they go to the grocery store, just to throw your lettuce in there. And then once you get home, you can throw that right into the fridge. It still breathes. And you're eliminating single-use plastics.
Exactly.
Those are all such good tips, and you make it sound so accessible, right? It's not hard for us to just bring our empty jars, and instead of going to buy a new one, just fill the current one. I was actually just thinking that normally when I need new deodorant, I buy a whole new glass jar, but now that doesn't make sense to me. Like, yes, it's natural, yes, it's locally made, but I don't need a new jar every time I run out of it. So it definitely gives us lots to think about as listeners, and suggest people consider those 6 items that you mentioned, because you're right, it's simple, right? You just have to make that transition, which might feel awkward, but you're
Mhm.
training your spending patterns and your buying patterns, which is important.
Absolutely. And another important component for us is that we didn't want, we wanted to help eliminate household waste. And we found that sometimes people will purchase a product, let's say 4 liters of laundry detergent, only to realize that they're having a really awful allergic reaction to it, or they don't like the smell of it. And then they've wasted this 4 liters and it sits underneath their bathroom counter or their laundry counter, or they dispose of it. So we really wanted to encourage people to buy just what they need in the moment, and that helps to eliminate the household waste.
Yeah, it's such a true statement. Like, you buy one thing and then oftentimes people shove it under a cupboard and forget about it, and it sits there until they decide to move 20 years later, and it's
Exactly
a very effective way to try a product on for size. So to get away from that is super important. I'm wondering, do you ever think about the long-term vision, kind of the 5-year plan for the green jar, or are you more just embracing the now and just kind of living in the day-to-day of your first year of business?
We're definitely taking it day by day, especially since COVID hit. It really has shifted our pattern at the Green Jar, but we definitely have lots of ideas. We want to continue engaging with our community, so we definitely have a laundry list of things that we'd love to do in order to expand on the Green Jar and to provide services to our community. But Mara is the rational list maker, and definitely reminds us that we need to be really rational and methodical with our process and with our growth.
Yeah, I think 2020 has certainly thrown us curveballs that it kind of takes us away from thinking super long term, and instead focusing on, okay, what's the goals of this week or this month? Let's just stay in the present, because we don't know what tomorrow brings, and
that's exactly
we can bounce back after all of this, hopefully quickly, but nobody really knows. So we're just
so true.
That
we had a lot of
No, go ahead.
We had a lot of workshops planned as well. We wanted to teach our community, how to make a lot of the products that we sell in the store. So we had a whole list of things we were going to teach throughout the year. And now, not being able to have too many people gathering together, we're going to put it off for a little while. But there's also Zoom, which is a great way to communicate with people. But we're definitely looking forward to having that face-to-face interaction with our community again, and teaching workshops and having social meet and greet evenings and things like that.
It's true. There's no replacement for that in-person feel. I especially miss getting out to community events, going to workshops at spaces like yours, and just feeling the physical presence. Zoom is amazing. It's a great alternative. Having e-commerce is amazing, but I know surely one of the reasons that you got into this business is because you love seeing people in the physical realm and sharing your excitement towards eco-friendly living, going more zero waste. And it's tough, right? With less interaction. I think we're very excited for you to be able to offer these in-person events, hopefully someday soon.
Look forward to it. Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
So, final question for somebody who is listening to this podcast and they also would love to start a retail space, a brick and mortar, but maybe they have no idea where to begin. What advice might you offer them in order to push them forward and get them started?
Definitely plan. Yeah. Have plan as much as you can. Make a list of all the things that are really important to you with regards to starting your business. Write a business plan. Absolutely. And be prepared to revise that business plan a few times before it's finalized. Ensure that you have funds available to contribute to your business, as well as extra funds for any unforeseen emergencies. I think that's really important as well.
Making connections with
Mhm.
other businesses that may be similar to yourself.
Mhm.
Reach out to them, befriend them, and
Mhm.
get to know them. We admire a lot of zero waste stores, and we've had the pleasure of, meeting with them and getting to know them.
Mhm. And
Mentor,
yeah,
maybe.
mentorship. I think that's really important. If you can find somebody that is also, running a business similar to the business that you'd like to open, definitely, seek their mentorship. It's really important to have that sage guidance, and it also helps to eliminate some mistakes that some people can make in the beginning if you know what not to do.
Mm-hmm. And take your time. Don't rush.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a race. It's fine tuning all of the details.
Mm-hmm. Definitely
checking them off.
Mm-hmm. And then also really check your target market, your demographic, and ensure that whatever product you're willing to sell is something that they really need, something that's really useful.
Mm-hmm. And that something that you believe in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm not going to sell something that I don't believe in.
Absolutely.
All the products that we have here, I have in my house. I love them. I use them, and stand behind them.
Exactly. Absolutely.
That's huge, I think, because if you don't love and believe in what you are sharing and what you're selling every day, then how do you inspire and infect energy into others, right? So I think it's so cool to see that you have built this business around a topic that has been near and dear to both of your hearts, obviously, many, many, many years, and an idea that was planted way back when you were 15, 16 years old. And patience really was the ultimate driver into finally seeing this store come to fruition. And it hasn't been the exact year that you planned, but I know that so many people are looking to make decisions that are better for the environment and that are supportive of eco-friendly living. And so I know this is only just the beginning. I think the education that you provide is so valuable because we're all on different ends of this journey, right? And to be reminded that this concept of the circular economy is really all of our responsibilities to learn about and to figure out how we can play less of a role in the damage to our planet. So I'm very, very inspired by hearing this story. I know all the listeners are going to really enjoy the transparency and openness that you both shared with us today. And we wish you all the best. If people want to find out more about the Green Jar, or if they're in Toronto and they can visit you, where are the best places for them to find you?
Absolutely. So our store is at 1061 St. Clair Avenue West, and that's between Oakwood Avenue and Dufferin Street. And on social, we are at the Green Jar Shop, and that's our Twitter, our Instagram, and our Facebook handle.
Easy enough. I will link all of that in the show notes so that people can come and find you. And we wish you all the best as we emerge from our homes and get back into visiting our favorite shop. So thank you, Mara. Thank you, Tanis. I appreciate you being on the show, and we'll chat soon.
Thanks, Kelsey. Thank you for having us.